The Arctic, a place of endless snow, fierce winds, and a cold so deep it can freeze skin in seconds. Here, the sun disappears for months, and the air is so icy that even breathing feels sharp. Yet, in this frozen world, the Inuit have lived for thousands of years, surviving temperatures as low as -76 degrees Fahrenheit, or -60 degrees Celsius. But how do they stay warm without gas or electricity? Their secret is a mix of brilliant design, ancient wisdom, and the power of nature itself. Let's step into their world and discover how they turn one of the coldest places on Earth into a home. Igloos, nature's perfect heater. Imagine being stuck in the freezing Arctic where the wind howls like a hungry wolf and the temperature is so cold that even your breath turns to ice. Now, imagine you don't have a heater, firewood, or even warm blankets. How do you survive? The Inuit people have the answer: igloos. These are amazingly the most amazing snow houses ever built. You might think, wait, how can snow keep you warm? That sounds crazy, because snow is cold, right? But here's the secret. Snow is also an amazing insulator. That means it traps heat inside and keeps the freezing cold outside. It works just like the thick walls in your house, except it's made of something that falls from the sky. Building an igloo is more than just stacking snow. An igloo isn't just a pile of snow. To build an igloo, the Inuit carefully cut blocks of hard, packed snow and stack them in a special way to form a dome. While constructing, they don't use glue, nails, or wood, just perfectly shaped snow bricks. One of the most important parts of a dome is its shape. This is important because it has to trap warm air inside and keep out the icy wind. But here's the really cool part. Inside the igloo, the temperature can be 59 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius. Even when it's -76 degrees Fahrenheit, -60 degrees Celsius, outside. That's like going from a deep freezer to a cozy living room, just by stepping inside a house made of snow. So, how does an igloo stay warm? An igloo can stay warm in several ways. First is body heat. When people stay inside, their bodies naturally produce heat. Also, the snow blocks have tiny air pockets inside them. These air pockets stop heat from escaping, just like a thick winter coat. Another reason why the igloo stays warm is its entrance door. The door of the igloo is usually lower than the inside floor. This is because cold air sinks and warm air rises. The cold stays near the entrance, while the warm air stays where people sleep. Also, the Inuit use a special oil lamp called a quillik, which burns seal or whale fat. It doesn't create smoke, and just a small flame is enough to add warmth inside the igloo. You might wonder, are igloos strong? You might even think an igloo would collapse easily, but it's actually super strong. The way the blocks are stacked in a spiral shape makes it tough enough to hold the weight of a person standing on top. Some igloos can even survive strong Arctic winds that would blow away a regular tent. Another amazing thing about igloos is that they don't take days to build. A skilled Inuit hunter can make one in just a few hours. That's faster than building a wooden cabin or setting up a big tent. Plus, since snow is everywhere in the Arctic, there's always free building material. One more question you might have in mind is, since the inside of an igloo gets warm, why doesn't it melt? The answer is balance. The snow absorbs heat, but stays just cold enough to keep its shape. Sometimes, the inside layer melts a little, but when the temperature drops again, it refreezes and makes the walls even. For thousands of years, the Inuit people have used igloos to survive in one of the coldest places on Earth. Without gas, electricity, or wood, they found a way to stay warm using only nature's resources. Igloos aren't just homes, they're nature's perfect heater. Next, let's take a closer look at the quillik lamps. The magic of the quillik, a tiny lamp that saves lives. At first glance, the quillik looks like a simple stone dish, but it's one of the most important things for survival in the freezing Arctic. It's like a tiny fireplace, but instead of burning wood, it burns animal fat. How does the kulik work? The most important part of the lamp is the fuel, which is animal fat. Instead of burning wood, which is almost impossible to find in the Arctic, the Inuit use seal fat, whale blubber, or caribou fat as fuel. These animals have thick layers of fat that burn slowly, which provides long-lasting heat. The wick also does the trick. A kulik doesn't use a candle wick like modern lamps. Instead, the Inuit use dried moss or cotton grass, which soaks up the fat and burns with a steady flame. Next, let's look at the flame. It is steady, strong, and powerful. It gives off enough heat to warm a small igloo. So, why is the kulik so important? Well, it's pretty obvious. It keeps homes warm. Even though an igloo traps heat well, it still needs a heat source. The kulik helps warm the air inside, making it comfortable enough to sleep, eat, and live. Also, since the Arctic is too cold for firewood, the Inuit can't make big fires. Instead, they place a metal or stone pot over the kulik to cook fish, seal meat, or even melt snow for drinking water. The Inuit also use them to dry their clothes. Yes, this slow-burning heat is powerful enough to dry clothes when Inuit hunters return from a long day outside. Their clothes are often damp with sweat or snow. Wet clothes in freezing temperatures can be deadly because they make the body lose heat quickly. So the warmth from the kulik comes in handy and helps dry fur coats, mittens, and boots, keeping them warm for the next day. Now, when you see the Inuit, what's the first thing you notice? Their unique appearance, right? Let's talk about that for a minute. The caribou fur, nature's perfect winter coat. Outside in the Arctic, the wind is so cold that it feels like tiny knives cutting your skin. At -76 degrees Fahrenheit, -60 degrees Celsius, frostbite can happen in minutes. If you wear the wrong clothes, you won't last long. But the Inuit have a secret weapon, caribou fur. Caribou fur is not just any fur. It is one of the warmest materials in the world, keeping the Inuit alive and comfortable in the freezing Arctic. Even when there's no electricity, no gas, and no modern winter jackets. This natural insulation does the job better than any man-made fabric. What makes caribou fur special? The hollow hairs trap heat. Unlike human hair, each strand of caribou fur is hollow inside. This creates tiny air pockets that trap body heat, just like a thermos keeps drinks warm. The more air a material can trap, the warmer it is. It also has double layers for maximum warmth. The short, dense underfur keeps heat close to the body, while the long outer hairs block the wind and snow. The Inuit put this design in their clothing by using 2 layers of fur. It is waterproof and windproof. The caribou fur doesn't just keep heat in, it also keeps cold out. The outer hairs repel water and snow, so the fur stays dry even in storms. Dry fur is warm fur. Some of the winter coats we have in our homes are heavy and make it hard to move. But caribou fur, with all its layers, is surprisingly light, which allows Inuit hunters to run, climb, and hunt without feeling weighed down. Now let's look at how the Inuit wear their caribou fur. The Inuit don't just wear it like any clothes. They have perfected a special way of dressing that keeps them warm even in extreme cold. First are the 2 layers we've talked about. The inner layer has the fur facing inward to trap body heat, and the outer layer has the fur facing outward to block wind and snow. Even scientists who study Arctic survival say nothing beats caribou fur for warmth. Second on their dress code is their fur boots. Frozen feet can lead to frostbite, which can be deadly. That's why the Inuit wear boots called kamiks, made from caribou fur. The fur traps heat while still letting moisture escape, keeping feet dry and toasty. Last in their grooming are the mittens and hoods for full protection. These mittens are warmer than gloves because fingers generate more heat when together. They are also made of caribou fur to keep their hands from freezing. You might think a modern puffer jacket is just as warm, but it's not. Here's why. Caribou fur stays warm even when wet, while many synthetic jackets lose warmth when damp. It lasts for years, while most winter coats wear out quickly. It's made by nature with no plastics or chemicals, making it environmentally friendly. Even today, many Inuit still prefer caribou fur over store-bought winter gear because they know nothing keeps them warmer. Sleeping close together, the Inuits' secret to staying warm. Now imagine trying to sleep in this frozen land without a heater, without thick blankets, and without a warm bed. Impossible, right? But the Inuit do it. How do they survive? Well, they sleep close together. Yes, they have no privacy. At first, this might seem ridiculous, but in the Arctic, where temperatures can drop to -76 degrees Fahrenheit, -60 degrees Celsius, body heat is one of the best ways to stay warm. The Inuit have used this survival trick for thousands of years, and it works better than you might think. How does sleeping close keep you warm? The human body is like a tiny heater. It naturally gives off warmth. When many people sleep close together, all their body heat combines, which makes the air around them warmer. In traditional Inuit homes, families didn't sleep in separate beds. Instead, everyone slept together on a raised sleeping platform covered in furs. Parents, children, and even grandparents shared the same warm space. Imagine going to bed as a child, snuggling up next to your parents, feeling warm and safe despite the freezing wind outside. It would be very comforting, right? Tell us in the comment section if you have ever had a family night like this. Apart from body heat, the Inuit use thick animal fur blankets. This is usually made from caribou or seal skin. These blankets trap the shared body heat and keep the warmth inside, just like how an igloo traps warm air. Are babies raised in this environment? Yes. For Inuit mothers, keeping their babies warm was a matter of life and death. Instead of wrapping newborns in thick blankets, they carried them inside their clothing, pressed directly against their skin. This skin-to-skin contact kept the baby's body temperature stable and protected them from the cold. The baby would rest inside the mother's warm parka, called an amauti, which had a special pouch for carrying infants. The mother's body heat kept the baby warm, and if the baby got too hot, she could simply adjust the clothing. No need for baby blankets or heaters, just the warmth of a mother's. So the next time you curl up under a warm blanket, remember the Inuit, who survived the harsh Arctic winters by staying close and sharing warmth. Hot rocks, how the Inuit use stones to stay warm. Rocks may seem cold and lifeless, but they have a secret. They can trap heat and release it slowly. The Inuit observed this and used this simple but brilliant method to their advantage by warming their homes, cooking food, and even keeping their bodies warm with stones while they sleep. Rocks are like natural batteries for heat. They absorb warmth when placed near a fire or other heat source, and then slowly release it over time. This is called thermal mass, the ability of a material to store heat and let it out gradually. Here's why hot rocks are so useful in the Arctic. Unlike a fire, which dies out quickly, heated rocks hold warmth long after the fire is gone. They are readily available. In the Arctic, trees are rare, but rocks are everywhere and they can't run out. Unlike firewood or oil, which run out, rocks can be reused again and again. So the Inuit don't need to search for firewood, they just need stones. Also, unlike an open fire, which fills a home with smoke, hot rocks release heat without flames, making them perfect for warming up an igloo or stone shelter. The Inuit place these rocks near the flame of a quollic, or over an outdoor fire. Once the rocks are hot, they move them into their shelters, where the stones radiate warmth into the space. This keeps the air from feeling icy. In some Arctic regions, Inuit groups sleep on heated stones. They first warm the rocks by the fire, then cover them with furs or hides. The rocks release heat slowly throughout the night, keeping the sleeping area warm even when the fire dies down. On long journeys, Inuit hunters sometimes carry small heated stones in their clothing. These act like natural hand warmers, preventing frostbite. They also place hot stones inside their boots to keep their feet from freezing. Even before metal pots were available, the Inuit used hot stones to boil water and cook food. They would heat the rocks until they were glowing hot, then drop them into a container of water to make the water boil. This method allowed them to cook meat and melt ice for drinking water. For thousands of years, the Inuit have survived the Arctic's freezing temperatures by using everything nature provides. Even something as simple as a rock becomes a powerful tool for warmth. Warm from the inside, how the Inuit use food to stay heated in the Arctic. You can wear thick fur and sleep in an igloo, but that's not enough. To truly survive, you need warmth from the inside. And that's where food comes in. The Inuit don't just eat to fill their stomachs, they eat to stay warm. Their diet is carefully chosen to provide heat, energy, and strength in one of the harshest places on Earth. Every time you eat, your body burns calories to turn food into energy. This process produces heat inside your body. The Inuit have mastered the art of eating the right foods to keep their bodies as warm as possible. Here's why their diet works. Fat serves as fuel that burns slowly in the body and also provides long-lasting energy and warmth. The Inuit eat a lot of seal blubber or muktuk, whale fat, and fish oils, which keep their bodies heated. They also eat a lot of protein because cold burns a lot of calories, so the Inuit eat plenty of meat from seals, caribou, and fish to stay strong and fight the cold. You won't believe this, but they eat raw meat for maximum energy, since cooking food can destroy some nutrients. The Inuit often eat raw meat because it provides the most energy and warmth. They also consume bone marrow, which is found inside animal bones. It is a rich, fatty substance which is full of energy. Apart from bone marrow and raw meats, they drink hot soups and broth. This liquid food helps the body raise its temperature quickly. They make soups from fish and meat to keep their core warm, especially after hunting. Now you might think eating raw meat in the freezing cold would make someone sick, but the Inuit have adapted in 3 ways. Fresh meat is safe. The Arctic is so cold that bacteria can't survive. Fresh raw meat is much safer than raw meat in warm places. Also, their stomachs are strong. After generations of eating raw food, the Inuits' bodies have adapted to digest it easily. Since the Arctic has almost no plants, the Inuit get vitamins from animal liver, fish, and blubber instead. Fire from fat, how the Inuit use animal fat for warmth and cooking. In the frozen Arctic, where trees are almost impossible to find, starting a fire seems like a challenge. There's no firewood, no dry grass, and no easy way to make a big, crackling flame. But the Inuit have a clever solution. They burn animal fat. Yes, we talked about this earlier in the Kulik discussion. But let's look deeper into how useful animal fat is to the Inuit. Animal fat, also called blubber, is one of the most valuable resources in the Arctic. It comes from seals, whales, and caribou, and it does more than just provide food. It also creates fire, warmth, and light, which helps the Inuit survive the coldest winters on Earth. But why does animal fat burn? You might not think of fat as something that burns, but it does, and it burns very well. Here's why. Firstly, fat is full of energy. Just like our bodies use fat for warmth and energy, fire can do the same. Blubber has a high energy content, which means it burns slowly and steadily, providing long-lasting heat. Also, it melts into fuel when fat heats up. It melts into oil. This liquid oil acts like candle wax, keeping the fire going for hours. And lastly, it's always available. The Inuit hunt seals and whales for food, and these animals have thick layers of blubber. Instead of letting any part go to waste, they use the fat to keep warm. For thousands of years, they have survived without gas, electricity, or modern technology, proving that sometimes the best solutions come from understanding and respecting the land. So the next time you step inside your warm home on a cold winter day, take a moment to imagine life in the Arctic. Could you survive like the Inuit? Could you build a house out of snow, light a fire without wood, or eat raw meat to stay strong? It's a world completely different from ours, yet one that has thrived for centuries. Let us know in the comments. If you had to live in the Arctic for a month, which Inuit survival trick would you want to master first?